Yeah? Okay. Wow, this is a little bit weird, but kind of cool, but really weird. Okay, so let's just talk about commercial dance. Yeah? Um, okay, wait, let me open this door. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk and you guys can just ask me a bunch of questions, and I think I would rather have a conversation, so just jump in and ask as many questions as you want at any point. And yeah, let's conversate. Okay, so I actually remember doing a video for CDI when I first started about how broad the commercial world is, right? It's really, really, really broad. There's so many different aspects to it. You know, it involves stages and concerts and arena and film and TV and theater and yeah, it's just really, really, really a really wide spectrum of stuff. Okay, maybe I need to close this door. Sorry, so it's a really broad, wide aspect of things, right? So you really have to sort of be prepared for everything that you can possibly sell. You know what I mean? Commercial dance is basically selling something or selling a product of some sort. And that too in commercial dance is just really, really, really broad. So let's just touch on some aspects of them, right? So obviously, you know, I was reading sort of like the difference between sort of concert dance and then commercial dance, right? Where concert dance sort of tells it's really telling a story, and there's a lot of uniformity in it. Like concert dance often uses like sort of like the same costumes and you know, everybody sort of dressed the same because the focus is more of the story, as opposed to where commercial dance, the story is usually a product. Even if you're, for example, like if you're doing a theater show, right? There is a story within a theater show, but the main product of a theater show is sort of the entire product, which is not just a story, but the idea and sort of what you've rehearsed and how much you've put into props, and you're showing everything off, and it's not just one thing. Same thing with film, where when you do a film, you're selling the product is sort of that producer and director's ideas, right? Where in concert dance, you're really focused on what the story of this dance is, right? So there's a small change there. So with commercial, you're always going to be selling stuff, right? And like even with an artist, we're selling this artist's idea, this artist's views, this artist's point of view. And you know, once you start working with artists, that's a different. That alone, artists alone have their own niche and things to talk about, right? So for example, like artists are at different levels of their career, right? So there's different ways to approach artists and performing at these levels. For example, if you first let's see, so for example, like in a, if you work for a brand new artist, correct? A brand new artist will probably not have the budget or capability to be able to really put, like, let's say an independent artist, to really put money into their career or money into their journey, right? So working for like an independent artist comes with a sort of a lot of negotiations and a lot of a lot of room for exploring what you would want to do at this level of artistry. Meaning, are you willing to put up with 8 or 16 hours of rehearsal, or even more, depending on the artist you're working for no pay because they can't pay? Are you willing to do shows for less money? Hi, y'all. Are you willing to do shows for less money? Are you willing to, sort of put up with more difficult working conditions because of the level that this artist is at? Usually when working with a independent artist or an upcoming artist, there's a lot of sacrifices that you as a dancer have to make. And are you willing and ready to do that, right? Can you rehearse for less amount of money? Can you travel for less amount of money? These are things that you have to think about when you are working with an independent artist or brand new artist, as opposed to a established artist who can afford more and can do more, and will probably, there won't be as much negotiating as an independent or brand new artist, because there will be already established rates, and in those aspects, then you kind of sort of have to know more about what your rights are, because you will be exercising that, as in SAG-AFTRA and equity or any of those things. Artists will also take you on completely different, they'll take you to different venues, right? Meaning like a stage or an arena or a stadium or a theater, all of these venues are actually, they help tell the story, right? They help sell the product. Excuse me. So for example, like if you're performing at an arena, right? That arena performance is a completely different performance than performing at a theater or on TV or in a stadium or an arena. Each venue is it's to be performed differently, right? So, for example, like if you are in a theater can feel really, really, really intimate. And then depending on the show that you're performing, your performance connection and level changes. For example, in a theater, I said, in the theater is kind of pretty intimate. So you could probably look and connect with the audience a little bit more and sort of feel them a little bit more. Where if you're performing in an arena or even in a stadium, every aspect and level of performance is so far outward that you're really performing inside out, meaning that you're performing for the last person in the seat at the very end. And if you're a theater buff, you've always heard that sort of like, in theater you perform so that the last person in the last seat can see you, right? But theater also has such an intimacy that you're really inward in your performance and allowing the audience to sort of capture that because you're so intimate, where you can't be inward in an arena or a stadium on any level. Your performance can never be internal or personal. It always has to be outward, and whatever level of that is, then that's where you're at. I see you guys are asking some questions, so I love that. I'm just gonna answer them as I go. Yeah. Kaylee, what are some skills outside of dancing that have helped to push you further through the door in auditions, etc.? Okay, so what are some skills outside of dancing? Okay, really, personality and character is a huge part of commercial dance. Huge part. There's relationships and connections are, if not 50%, then I would say anywhere from 60 to 40%, or even maybe 60. I would go on the higher end, and just always be kind, always have a really good personality, and build these relationships and connections with people, because those will take you very, very far. I also have theater training. I've been an actor my whole life. I went all the way through college for drama. So that aspect, theater and acting and that world is a huge part of my career training. Because of acting, I've been able to sort of put myself in different worlds and different aspects, and be able to work with different artists and be able to see different worlds and different everythings, because I trained in acting. So my approach is always in being something else other than myself. So yeah, acting, and just always connections and relationships are really important. I love these wavings. Okay, awesome. Theaters, yeah. So for example, let's go back to sort of these venues, right? So where I said we're in an arena, you have to speak out. I mean, you have to be outward. Everything is out. There is no internal everything, which is a different performance from film, let's say, right? Or even TV. With film, you always have to be really internal and really conscious on being authentic and being a moment to moment, a real moment to moment, right? Because the camera captures everything. So even like a little eye twitch in a film is really important, right? So you have to sort of focus on the importance of like sort of twitching your eye, even being that small, right? Where you would never, nobody in an arena or in a stadium will ever focus on how expressive your face is. Even though we talk about, putting your face on when you perform. But in an arena, nobody's focused on that really. They're focused on your energy and what your energy is portraying. Where if you're in film isn't capturing your energy, they're capturing your emotion, your internal, right? So being in different venues, there's different ways to perform in different aspects of what internally you're experiencing and then putting outward. Maybe let's talk about touring, sort of, and let me see if there are any more questions. Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's talk about like touring, and touring is a huge part of commercial life. it's actually probably the quickest way for, if you could find it, it's like the quickest way for a dancer to be able to make some money, because you have a not a long, but you have a sizable rehearsal process, and then you have, however long the tour is. So you're able to make, usually a tour can go anywhere from like a month to 2 months to 2 years. So you're able to make a good chunk of money, in a shorter amount of time. Touring itself has its own entities, right? So there's like national tours, and then there's international tours. In a national tour, obviously you're only going nationally, so you don't need a passport. I mean, you don't need a passport to do any of that stuff. You can just kind of travel within the country. Internationally, obviously, you do need a passport and things, right? For both, so for anybody who doesn't have a passport, you should have a passport. And you should carry it with you at all times, because you never know in this business. You can get called and be like, hey, I need you in London at like 3 p.m. And you'd be like, cool, I got my passport, right? So the thing about touring is really the preparation to be away from what you're used to, right? I know I've toured a lot, and like a really long time, and I've worked and seen people that just don't know how to be when they're not home, like sort of homesick, or not understanding cultures and ways, and sort of that. And that really is what tour is you're just going out of your safe space and experiencing a whole bunch of new ways and a whole bunch of different cultures, and you're probably only experience it for one day and then move on, right? So you have to sort of be prepared for that. Be prepared to be away from home and not have the safety of comfortability and that sort of stuff. Like, you're in a place where you don't know the language, you don't know the food, you don't know the money. This is for international touring life. So you have to school yourself on that. You have to be aware of, what the currency is where you're going, what those customs are, what those cultures are. And we sort of have to be really aware and respectful that we are no longer in our home. And that sort of will just be the best way to experience tour life. Realize that, first and foremost, you're not just touring and vacationing, though it feels like it. One, you're there to do a job, right? You're there, your job is to be there with that artist or whatever you're with touring, right? Your job is to be there. But then your second job is also sort of to experience this world, and you're traveling, you're seeing new spaces, you're seeing new cultures, new all this stuff. So it's important to sort of prepare yourself and then experience it, right? What is money convert? Right. So right, and in international, it's money conversions. You have to realize and know what the money's worth and sort of that kind of stuff, right? People's ways, cultures, and their customs. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, and also, at least from my experiences, when you do a, national tour as opposed to like sort of an international tour, like on national tours, you will probably be on a bus or sort of traveling in a van. I've done that before, and I did that with, sort of like, she was an established artist, but sort of coming up, and her music was starting to hit. We were traveling, it was like 13 people in a 9-passenger van, and we did that for a couple of years. which sucked, but it was really cool at that point, because obviously I was doing what I wanted to do. But we were touring in a van, as opposed to later when you get with a more established artist where you get to do a tour bus and that sort of stuff. That doesn't come with the gig. A tour bus doesn't come with the gig. Do you know what I mean? It's something that comes with money, and not every artist has that. So yeah, I used to travel in a van, 9-passenger van, 13 people. Yeah, and then so there's different aspects. So touring in a van and in a bus is really different than internationally. Sometimes you might just fly all the time, and there might not be a bus, there might not be a van. It's literally just planes. So you have to be prepared for all of it. And just I will say though, be very aware. Traveling can sort of take a really big toll on you. So you have to be aware of that as well, because a lot of traveling will be very, very difficult on your body, on top of the show that you're doing. So be aware of that whole situation. Okay, let's move on to Vegas residencies, right? Okay, so I'm just doing my first Vegas residency, and like my brain exploded. It really did. It's a whole new venue of ways to make money and have a job, right? So what I first discovered during Vegas residencies were that each show sort of has their own way of doing things. Obviously, you all get paid and you all have that sort of thing, but sort of what's offered to you is very different and depends on show by show. So for example, like some shows pay you a certain rate, another show might not pay you that rate. Some shows might retain your time, some shows might not retain your time. Excuse me. Some shows will be on for 2 to 3 weeks, some show might be on for 4 weeks. So everything is sort of really, really different with what you can, what you receive or what you get or whatever. Some of these shows put you up and give you a hotel room or somewhere to stay. Some of the shows don't, that sort of thing. What I have found with residencies for me is the timing, where you have a contract. Let's say a residency could give you a contract for a year or 2 years, for example, but you're only working a certain amount of time. Meaning, for example, the show that I'm doing, we are on, let's say, for 3 weeks, and then we're off for like a month, or 2 months, and then we're on again for 3 weeks, which means that I have work for those 3 weeks, and then I have to come back and find work for the next 2 months, which can be really difficult with timing, because depending on when you are, like, the industry has sort of times when things happen. For example, like award season will be sort of at the beginning of the year, right? And then there's pilot season, which is also around that time. Then you have when summer tours start auditioning, and so these are times throughout the year where these things happen. Excuse me. I found that the way the show I'm in, that's the way the schedule worked, we sort of were always gone when all of these auditions were happening. So so I had work for, let's say, the beginning of the year for 3 weeks, and then I would come back, and the whole time that I was gone, that was, let's say, award season, so I wasn't able to audition. I did have work, but I wasn't able to audition for the times that I didn't have work, and I wasn't at home because I was gone doing the show. So what I found for Vegas residencies is you have to do a lot more planning and a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? proactive preparation for when you have downtime. And that again goes back to when you sort of like what show you're in and what contract they give you, whether you're retained, whether you're not retained, how often that you perform and all that. Once you figure that out, you have to go and fill your time when you're down and figure out how you can make up all that other time, right? I mean, obviously that would be pretty obvious, but I didn't know that then, that those sort of downtime, there would be nothing like we sort of our downtime was always during downtime for the dance industry, which is interesting. So for me, I'm sort of working on that aspect, still trying to figure out how to fill that in between time with commercial work, because a lot of the periods are gone. I'm just sort of moving along here. Let's talk about music videos. We can literally just touch base on everything for hours, but it's just so broad. We can just jump and just ask questions or whatever. So music videos. Music videos, first of all, have changed a lot. When I first started dancing, that really sort of was the career. Like, there were so many music videos being shot, like, all the time. Where obviously as a dancer, you're not constantly called, and there are a lot of music videos being shot right now. But I feel like back in the day, it used to be really part of the career. Like, you were constantly shooting music videos, where it isn't the same now. And the contracts have changed, and rates have changed, and all of that as well. But music videos used to be part of the career, where I feel like now, Instagram and touring, sort of that stuff is, but now it used to be music videos. But music videos themselves are their own entity as a whole. Just like the long hours and the amount of work that sort of you do for music videos I feel like music videos for me are sort of really, they're the hardest things to shoot, because you kind of have a lot to do in a really small period of time. The thing about music videos is, there's not a lot of time for exploration, where like when you're on a stage in a theater, sort of you're performing, once you do shooting a music video, you're sort of just capturing what you've rehearsed, right? So and it's usually not your music video, so the only person they're really caring for to look amazing is the artist. So when doing a music video, it is your job to never ever make a mistake, ever on the planet, because keep that vitamin C. You can't make a mistake because they're not reshooting for you, right? And usually on set, you will probably be there early in the morning and not shoot for 7, 8, 9 hours. So, what are you doing for 7, 8, 9 hours? I don't know, but whatever you do, you've got to be ready for when they say action, right? And you might only get one take, you might only get 2 takes. So with music videos, you sort of rehearse and get the artistic and sort of the trying and the exploration part during rehearsal process. But then once you're on set, it's, no mistakes, no none of that. You've got to shoot. And again, that aspect of performance for a video is different than for a stage or an arena, right? You've got to like video will capture intention and will capture thought. You know what I mean? Intention and thought and process is what this video and camera does, where you won't capture that in arena and stuff. It's all just performance. Videos have really long hours, really long hours. Really long hours. Most videos that I've done, I think we've overtimed and just sort of you're always there forever. What else? Music videos. Yeah. And obviously a music video can range in very many different ways. And they can do and say very many different things. Let me just say something about videos really quickly. Or even just performing, right? I had an experience on a music video where a dancer sort of they felt uncomfortable doing the material that we were working on. And so during filming, this artist, the dancer, sort of broke down and was not able to do the material. And I just would remember trying to let this artist know, obviously when you can tell when something doesn't feel comfortable and something doesn't feel right, and you know when to say no and put a stop to things, right? And that was completely correct. But there was somehow, I feel like this dancer somehow took what was going on in the performance as something that she sort of would be judged on, which I respected completely. But I just try to remind dancers and artists that, we're paid to be something else, and we're paid to be other than ourselves. Even if you're with like an artist you sort of, identify with and love, and sort of you're still whoever you are with that artist. You're still not yourself. You're being whoever you need to be for this artist. So never take anything personal in especially music videos, because music videos will ask you to do a lot of things because they have such a short period of time. They just want to capture everything. But don't, obviously, when things aren't right and when things don't feel correct or safe. But as an artist, we're portraying other things, so we can't take stuff personal, right? We can't take whatever's happening on the set isn't who I am personally. I'm playing a character, and I'm playing something, right? So don't take that personally, and you also have to open up and experience new things. If it's something you've never done before, then good for you. That's your job as an artist to experience something else, something other. But music videos will put you in situations where you sort of feel like, what am I doing? Because there's so much happening in such a small period of time. Again, don't do anything that doesn't make you feel comfortable or anything like that. But then again, our job is to sort of provide these experiences that aren't ours, right? But yeah, so music videos can get really intense. but they're really super fun. Boom. That's on that. Music videos. Let me see what else I wrote. Boom. Right? Like, obviously a video can take place on Earth or on a planet or anywhere, right? Long hours. Right, the waiting. Exactly. Boom. So that's music videos. Like, TV shows are completely a different aspect of this world. TV shows are usually really quick. Like, for example, like, depending, like, if you're doing like a TV, like, let's say a talk show, like a late night talk show, right? You're basically just rehearsing for one number, because you're not doing like a big show. So you do one number, you rehearse depending on however many days the artist wants you to rehearse. And then you just come in and do that. You're probably in a TV station for maybe 2-3 hours and you're out, which is great. Real quick anecdote. I remember doing a TV show and nobody knew we were doing it. Like, I got called like at 2 p.m. and was asked at like 2, can you be at Fox at 2 or at 2:30 or whatever? And literally we just had to, 4 dancers were called 30 minutes before a taping, and like all of us showed up on set just ready to dance. I will never forget that. It was insanity. But literally called, we came in, we were there 45 minutes, we shot, and we were gone. So TV are really, really easy, in, out. Even if you're not doing like dance stuff, even if you're just working on television, super, super easy. Usually not like a lot of rehearsal time. But in, out, TV's pretty easy. Boom. Let me see. Okay, so just sort of, let's talk about doing the same shows, right? Which kind of brings us back to residencies. So there's something really interesting that sort of happens with tour life, right? Obviously, with every show, you're doing the same show all the time, right? All the time. The thing with touring is it never feels like the same. At least for me, I'm speaking for myself. It never feels like the same show because you're somewhere else. You're constantly leaving a city and going somewhere else. So there's sort of this sort of through line in touring life where you're constantly moving and you're constantly changing. So that sort of translates to not doing the same show over and over again, even though you are. Where for me, my balance with the residency show, where you're in one place for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is, or like even if you're doing theater, like Broadway or equity shows, stuff like that, where you're doing the same show every single day. That will have a huge effect on your body, obviously. You think you would get stronger, but you actually do, and then you start sort of hurting yourself because you're using the same muscles over and over and over again, right? So with touring, for me, that took a little bit longer to happen because, like I said, we would be traveling, right? So we do a show on Monday, and then we travel the next day. We have the next day off, and then we do a show again, right? Or we travel, do a show, travel, do a show, travel, do a show. So there's always sort of like downtime or whatever, where if you're doing a Broadway show or an equity show, you're doing, you're on 6 days a week, and you're doing the same thing repetitively over and over and over again. So your muscles, wow, your body takes a huge beating, right? So you have to have, I say every dancer needs a chiropractor, a masseuse, and a physical therapist that you literally can just like, what time, right? Like, your body needs it. I've been very blessed to tour a lot, and my shoulders, I have to work, I physically have to work on my shoulders. You have the arms are constantly swinging, and like sort of like my shoulders are something that I have to focus on. So putting your body through this sort of stuff so doing the same move, your shoulder, your knee, you have to be very aware and have to take care of all of that. Massage, physical therapy, and chiropractic. You need it. We all need that in our bodies. We need to handle ourselves. Stretch, right? Dreams. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. Would you guys have any questions? There's a lot we could just talk about. What is this? Did I miss a question? What is life like on tour? Ava Marie! What's life like on tour? So, it's really amazing. It's exactly what you think it is. It's going out and seeing the world and getting paid to do it, right? I mean, you're obviously in a new room. You're in a different room you're in a different home every single day. You literally meet new people every single day. Excuse me. It can get a little tight quarters because you're on a bus all the time if you're on a bus tour. It can get really exciting. It can get really tiresome too. Traveling obviously takes a toll on your body. So you've got to find a lot of downtime when you tour as well, because it can all be very overwhelming. New money, new place, new meeting new people, new all that stuff. So it can be really overwhelming, but it's amazing to be able to see the world and then, come back and go dance for it. It's great. What is life like on tour? Any other questions, y'all? So, I mean, commercial dance as a whole will always sort of will always sorry, I'm looking at the thing. Commercial dance will always provide work, right? Thank goodness. Sorry. Commercial dance will provide work for many different ages too, which is really great. So commercial dance is sort of like, there's so many different artists that can work on commercial dance and in the commercial industry, which is great. What is this? How often do you go to auditions? Really depends, Lily. It depends on when auditions happen. So, for example, when I first started dancing, I would go to a lot more auditions than I would now, just because in the commercial world has like touring and that sort of stuff is usually for a younger dancer. So there's more auditions to go for that. I don't audition too much for artists now, but I do a lot of TV auditions and I do a lot of film auditions and that sort of stuff. So it just depends on where or how many auditions and what sort of auditions you want to go to. But yeah, I go I do a lot more acting auditions too now than just dance auditions. Ava Marie, have you ever messed up on stage? Oh my goodness, yes. Uh, yes. I had a really embarrassing mistake. So we did a performance where I had just been brought as a dancer to this show. I was added. I was the only dancer added, and it was like one of our first performances or whatever. And I only had about a week or something like. There were a few days to learn the entire show, and I remember performing the second chorus during the. So there was a first chorus and a second chorus, and they each were different verses, right? I remember performing the second chorus during the first chorus, and then reversing the second chorus and perform the first chorus. Thank God the choreographer was like, "This is your only chance because you just started the show." He's like, but it was a major mess up. I mean, we all laugh about it now, but yes, I have messed up on stage many times. Okay, what are some of your favorite places you've been to travel while on tour? Okay, some of my Japan is probably one of my favorite places on the planet. I love it over there. New Zealand was absolutely beautiful, and I actually got to travel to Peru while working, and I'm from Peru, so that was beyond incredible. Beyond incredible, being able to go back home with a job from, like, it was basically like the check-in that I had achieved the dream. It was awesome. So Peru was amazing. And then just like a bunch of like little countries that I've never even heard of, that are like, little places in the corner of the world somewhere that I would have never on the planet be, other than because I was touring. So that was awesome. Pauiie, Poi? I'm not saying that right. Okay, she asks. This is what they're asking. This might seem like a weird question, but do you think dancers have to be extroverted to book bigger jobs? That is an awesome question. Yes. Yes. So an extroverted, in like whatever that means to you, it can mean to you, but yes, you have to shine, and you're not gonna shine if you're sort of quiet and timid, or like you don't have to be out there like this. Do you know what I mean? So that people can like you. You don't have to do that, but you do have to show the inside of you, your internal, like your heart. You do have to provide that for whoever you're performing for. You have to provide it. So, again, 60 to 50 to 40% of the industry is relationships, and sort of, do people want to hang out with you? Do people want you around? Do they want your energy? And you have to provide a positive energy for people to do that. You have to be outwards, and people want to hang out with you. Do you know what I mean? People need to have you in that room. You have to show your personality. Cindy asks, how to find confidence as a teenager to pursue this when your studio instructors are emotionally invested in other students. Very nice question. You cannot allow anybody on this planet to take control of what's yours, whatever that means. If they're focused on somebody else, then that means they're giving you time to focus on yourself, right? Because now you're not focused on them focusing on you. You're focused on you focusing on you. So this is what I always say, and which has helped me incredibly. Excuse me. I take my career into my own hands. into my own hands. You don't have to impress anybody. You don't have to do any of those things. You just have to be yourself. And that will really help you. Just be yourself in these rooms, be yourself in these jobs, be yourself in these auditions. That's what people are looking for. People can see who you are. So if don't focus on what everybody else, what's happening around you, focus on you. And even if your teacher isn't giving you the attention you need, this is what I was going to say. Any note that teacher is giving to that specific student that she's just focusing on, you take those same notes. Even though they're not being given to you personally, you take those notes and you apply them to you. And you figure out if they work for you. If that teacher isn't telling you specifically what it is, and you're like, hey, you only focus on that dancer, you take everything he or she says to that dancer and you apply it to yourself. Yeah? So you take control of your own stuff and fly, 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 butterfly. You're welcome, Lily. Malia. Do you have to audition for most for your commercial work, or do you get invited for some jobs too? You do get invited for some work, and that again is based on your relationships and based on sort of, you know, the impressions that you've left with choreographers and the people you work with. So you do get added to work. I've been on tours where I've been just added and you know, didn't have to audition or anything like that. But again, those are based on relationships and based on what you've built with your extroverted personality. Alice, have you ever been on a job and felt like you were not prepared? No. I'm always really nervous on jobs till this day, just because I want to provide and basically provide what you're paying me for, which is the talent and the expression and sort of that. And I want to do a good job. But I've never been on set or on a theater. I've never, thank goodness, ever, even when I'm called on projects to just sort of appear and be there with no rehearsal process sort of thing, I've never felt unprepared. But that's also because, you know, I've trained for so long, sort of taken class and being in the aspect of always dancing, that I've never felt unprepared. And then if so, how did you push past that and execute the job on hand? Yeah, I've never felt unprepared. But if you ever do feel unprepared, stop, take a second, breathe, look around, and just, you know, and know that you're there for a reason. So just dig in your bag of tricks and try to prepare yourself as quick as possible. But yeah, no, I've never felt unprepared, thank goodness. Any more questions? You're welcome. Boom. Yeah, so we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit. I will say though that you know, this sort of commercial dance aspect of this industry is growing now, I would say, with social media and you know, and our own way to create. You know, so now there's different venues now for commercial dance, sort of as Instagram or your own website or YouTube or that sort of stuff. These again are all just commercial dance, you know what I mean? So just get out there and explore and enjoy, have a good time, dance revolution. Yeah, and enjoy it, man. Take care of your bodies. Thank goodness I'm still going. I take care of my body. I'm still going. Just Just get out there and do it, bro. And sis. And yeah, do your thing. Do your thing. Enjoy. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on the field. You know what I'm saying? I'll see you guys on the field. Later. Have fun. Thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Talk to y'all soon. Bye. Thank you all. Bye.